Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to be doing the 1 hour story challenge using Rory's story cubes. Now before we go any further, I'd just like to point out that this video isn't sponsored. I use these cubes in my creative writing workshops and they always go down really well, but you can do this exercise just as easily using picture cards and randomised word association. These cubes are absolutely ideal for me to use for this video, however, because each cube comes with a different picture on each side. And what I'm going to be doing is rolling the dice and using the picture to generate one word to be used in my story. Now you can do this however you want. You can either simply use the object on the cube itself, or you can think of words you associate with that picture using word association. So, for example, if I pick another cube out, there we go, and just give it a roll. As you can see, I have just rolled a tower block of flats. So what I'm now going to do is write down a few words I associate with that picture. There we go. Now what's really great about me using these story cubes for this exercise is the fact that I also have a few of the expansion packs. So I have a few more potential picture options to play around with. And this is going to hopefully help me be even more creative when writing my story. Now I'm going to be starting out with 20 words, but obviously if you use all your words up within the hour, then all you need to do is add a few more. So I'm just now going to empty out all of my cubes into this envelope. Give them a shake. And start rolling. And now I have my first 20 words, which are troll, cunning, thirsty, puppet master, thinking, theatre, emotional, tent, fireside, clown, shadow, comical, direction, arrow, wizard, feast, superpower, silly, fear, and world. And I can now start using each of these words in one sentence to help start to build my story. Once upon a time, there was a troll called Bob, who lived high up in the mountains in a place very far away from the nearest village. Bob had never met anyone besides other trolls before, but he knew they were believed to be mean and cunning, and that nobody really liked them very much. Bob's family eventually all moved away, but he didn't like the idea of leaving his mountain home, and so he stayed. But Bob still felt lonely all by himself, and thirsty for a friend to keep him company. One day Bob was making his way down the side of the mountain when he came across an old puppet master. The man was sitting down on a rock, a battered old case resting on the ground beside him, and appeared to be thinking. Bob was curious. He sat down next to the old man and asked him what was on his mind, and he told Bob all about how he had used to work at a large and very fancy theatre before it had been closed down. The old puppet master had loved the old theatre. It had been his livelihood and his home, and felt too emotional to tell Bob anything more about his old life. He revealed that he had been living in a tent which he had pitched up on the side of the mountain. It was very cold and wet and windy, and not at all like his old home, with a roof and a bed with a soft mattress of goose feathers, and he missed the comfort of a warm fireside. He told Bob the troll how he had been living with his friend the clown, who had run off in the night, and he had been trying to find him when he had sat down to think, and that's when Bob had come across him. His friend the clown was scared of his own shadow, which wasn't very nice at night on the mountainside, because it was so dark the light of the moon cast shadows everywhere. Most people would find it funny to hear tales of a clown scared of shadows, but Bob didn't think it comical at all. The old man had lost his way, with no one around to ask for directions. And where would he ask for directions to on the side of a mountain? The arrow on his compass had broken a few days ago, and now he was very, very lost. Bob knew of only one other person who sometimes passed by these parts, and that was his friend the wizard, although he hadn't seen him now in many months. He had once shared a great feast with him during one dreadfully cold and treacherous winter, when Bob had been unable to venture very far to find food. He had imparted a very important piece of advice to the lonely troll that evening, which Bob had never forgotten. Bob had been in awe of the wizard's great magic as he had watched him turn lumps of snow into steaming mashed potatoes and rocks into legs of roast chicken. The wizard had told him that everybody has their own superpower. They just had to be brave enough to look deep within themselves and find it. Bob had always thought his idea of leaving the mountain one day had been silly. He knew that humans didn't like trolls, and he was so terribly afraid of being rejected by them. The wizard had then told him that he knew some humans, and they were not all like that. He did not need to fear them all. There was a big, wide world out there waiting to be explored, and there were great opportunities and the chance of a real adventure out there waiting for him, if he would just be brave enough to leave his mountain home. Bob thought about the old puppet master's friend the clown sadly, so afraid of his own shadow. But shadows were just reflections of oneself cast by the light of the moon. The light brought clarity and the gift of vision. So there you have it. I really hope you've all enjoyed this video, especially if you've ever wanted to write a story but don't know where to start. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.